them. Just delete.
The movie kicks off with a woman unconscious, floating in the water. But don't be fooled, her story isn't over. In fact, this is just the beginning of something new. Let's rewind to see how she got here. Meet Patience Phillips, a timid and reserved woman who works for a company she despises.
Hey, no!
She's incredibly talented as an artist, but wastes her skills designing ads for a cosmetics brand.
This is my first lead campaign.
She never speaks up for herself, which results in people overlooking her. Her only real friend at work is Sally. The company is co-owned by George Adair and his supermodel wife, Laurel. They're gearing up to launch a new anti-aging cream called Feline.
Husband and I.
A product Laurel has secretly been using for years. However, George decides it's time to swap her out for a fresher, younger face. Laurel is furious, but keeps her emotions in check, refusing to confront her husband.
Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to seeing you.
Meanwhile, Patience has designed the promotional material for the product, but George hates it. He orders her to redo the entire thing within 24 hours or risk losing her job. Too afraid to argue, she complies. George is the kind of boss who enjoys exploiting his employees. Upset and frustrated, Patience goes home. She struggles to get any sleep because of her noisy neighbors.
Turn the music down just...
Fed up, she gets up to ask them to lower the volume, but they ignore her. The next morning, while working on a new advertisement, she notices a cat sitting on her windowsill. Concerned, she steps closer, only to realize the cat has climbed onto a dangerous ledge and might be stuck. Feeling responsible, she tries to reach it. However, the moment she steps out onto the sill, she realizes she's made a huge mistake. A passing detective misinterprets the situation and assumes she's about to jump. Panicking, he rushes to intervene. When he gets her back inside, she quickly explains that she was just trying to save the cat. She barely has time to process the encounter before she realizes she's late for work. In her hurry, she drops her wallet. The detective, Tom Lone, picks it up and decides to return it. Not just to be helpful, but as an excuse to see her again and ask her out. He tracks her down at her workplace, gives her back her wallet, and nervously invites her out for coffee. Caught off guard, Patience hesitates, unsure what to say. Luckily, Sally steps in and encourages her to accept. That night, Patience stays late to finish her work.
This is the officer I was telling you about.
Once done, she heads out to deliver the project. Meanwhile, Laurel is having a conversation with a doctor about Feline. Patience accidentally overhears a discussion that reveals the product has serious side effects.
Doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Startled, she accidentally knocks over some equipment, making a loud noise. Security guards immediately notice and begin chasing her.
Maybe I'm in the wrong...
She runs into a massive drainage pipe, but before she can escape, she's swept away by rushing water. Within seconds, she loses consciousness and drowns. A cat, the same one she had tried to rescue, appears alongside a group of other cats. It emits a strange green mist over her, bringing her back to life. When Patience wakes up, everything feels different. Her senses are sharper, her reflexes quicker. Even her hearing is heightened. She can now pick up sounds that normal humans can't. Confused but instinctively aware of her newfound agility, she leaps back home, crashing through her own window. The next morning, she finds a broken glass but doesn't remember what happened the night before. Meanwhile, Tom is waiting for her to show up for their date, but she has no memory of their plan.
Okay, kitty.
The cat that saved her is still in her home. She notices a note attached to its collar with an address. Out of curiosity, she decides to visit the location, hoping to return the cat to its owner. She arrives at the home of Ophelia, an eccentric former professor who lives surrounded by cats.
Like popping out of nowhere. I know.
Ophelia explains that the cat, named Midnight, is a rare Egyptian Mao with mystical powers. According to her, Midnight has chosen Patience for a special gift, one granted only to certain women after they die.
Perhaps I can help you.
Patience laughs it off, thinking Ophelia is just a crazy old woman. But when Ophelia tosses some catnip at her, she reacts just like a cat, confirming that something inside her has changed. Back at work, her boss is furious. She overslept and didn't finish the project.
and you do not know where they are because...
When George starts berating her, she does something she never would have done before. She talks back. She tells him she regrets ever wasting her talent at the company. Enraged, George fires her on the spot, leaving her coworkers stunned.
Working for an untalented, unethical...
But instead of feeling crushed, she walks out with confidence, with Sally by her side. Later, while passing by a jewelry store, she spots a gorgeous necklace in the display window. Just as she's admiring it, Sally suddenly collapses. Patience rushes her to the hospital, but luckily, she's okay. Wanting to make up for missing their coffee date, Patience visits Tom at a school where he's teaching kids about good behavior.
You know what makes somebody...
They end up having fun playing basketball with the students, and for the first time in a while, she genuinely enjoys herself. That night, she finds herself craving canned fish, just like a cat.
Hello?
Meanwhile, her neighbors are throwing another loud party. But this time, instead of putting up with it, she storms over and bangs on their door, demanding they turn the music down. When they ignore her, she takes it up a notch. She trashes their musical equipment and even attacks the landlord. Something inside her has completely changed. Embracing her new identity, she cuts her hair short and slips into a sleek leather outfit. Then, she hops onto a motorcycle and heads to the jewelry store where she saw the necklace. But just as she arrives, she notices a group of robbers breaking in. With her new agility and confidence, she doesn't hesitate. She steps in, effortlessly taking them down one by one, making witty remarks as she fights. For the first time, she feels truly alive. The next day, Patience wakes up on her floor, completely surrounded by stolen jewelry. Realizing what she's done, she gathers everything up and returns it to the store that was robbed.
Cupcakes.
The police are already investigating when they find the package, which includes a note saying sorry. Later, Patience goes back to see Ophelia. The woman explains that Midnight, the mysterious cat, was testing Patience to see if she was worthy of this new power.
Do you want me to tell you?
Now, with her newfound abilities, Patience has a fresh start, a whole new life. Dressed in a tight leather outfit and the cat mask Ophelia gave her, she embraces her new identity as Catwoman. Determined to find the guy who tried to kill her, she tracks him down to a nightclub. She casually orders a glass of milk while scanning the room. When she finally spots him, she wastes no time. She drags him outside, disarms him, and takes him down in no time. But after roughing him up, she realizes he has no clue who she is. However, he does know that the whole situation is tied to some shady business at her company. He suggests she speak to George or Laurel. Catwoman sneaks into the company headquarters, only to find the doctor from the other night lying dead on the floor. A janitor happens to walk in and immediately assumes she's the killer. The alarms go off, and the police arrive, forcing Catwoman to make a quick escape. The next day, at the police station, Tom stares at the sorry note from the jewelry bag and compares it to another piece of writing. Turns out, both were written by the same person. He starts to connect the dots, but doesn't have enough proof yet. Tom and Patience meet up, and he brings up some weird coincidences, though nothing solid enough to accuse her. They later ride an observation wheel together, but suddenly, a malfunction puts a child in danger. Tom rushes to save him, but it's clear he won't reach him in time. Without hesitation, Patience leaps into action, grabs the kid, and pulls him to safety. Meanwhile, Catwoman, now a fugitive, sneaks into George's luxury apartment. There, she confronts Laurel, warning her about the dangerous side effects of Feline. Laurel pretends to be helpful and gives her a hotel address where she can supposedly find George. She also hands over a phone number so they can stay in touch. That same night, Catwoman finds George on a private balcony with a young model named Dina. Before she can get answers, a security guard spots her and alerts the police. Dina steps away for a moment, giving Catwoman a chance to confront George. She scratches his face and demands information, but before she can get more out of him, the cops arrive. With no other choice, she makes a daring escape, only to land right in front of Detective Tom. They fight, but she doesn't want to hurt him, so she teases him instead, going as far as to kiss him before making her get away. The next morning, Laurel visits George's office, where he's furious about the scratches on his face. In a fit of rage, he lashes out at her. But when he tries to hit her, something strange happens. He ends up hurting himself instead. It turns out, Feline has left his skin extremely fragile. Meanwhile, Patience is getting ready for another date with Tom. With Sally's help, she picks out an outfit. Over dinner, Tom talks about his fight with Catwoman and even mentions the kiss. Oddly enough, Patience doesn't seem jealous at all. The night takes a romantic turn, and they end up spending the night together. Later, Tom wakes up and spots a jeweled claw lying around. He instantly recognizes it, and, suspecting something, takes a glass Patience drank from to run a handwriting analysis. The results confirm what he feared. Patience and Catwoman are one and the same. While she's still sleeping, Laurel calls her, saying she has evidence of George's crimes. Catwoman rushes over, only to find George's lifeless body. But it's a setup. Laurel hands her the murder weapon, framing her just as the police arrive. Thanks to her quick reflexes, Catwoman manages to escape before they can catch her. The next day, Patience returns home and finds Tom waiting. He knows she's capable of overpowering him, yet she doesn't. She tries to convince him she's innocent, but he points out that all the evidence says otherwise. In the end, she lets him arrest her, tears streaming down her face. That night, Midnight sneaks into the holding cell, giving Patience the motivation she needs to break free and stop Laurel's twisted plans. Elsewhere, Laurel proudly announces the official launch of Bowline. Meanwhile, Catwoman sneaks into the warehouse and sabotages the delivery trucks, making sure the product never reaches the market. At a press conference, Tom quietly pulls Laurel aside, telling her he has enough proof to expose her. Not realizing she's being recorded, she confesses to killing George and even threatens to kill Tom next. Just in time, Catwoman shows up, but Tom is already injured and unable to get away. She has no choice but to stay behind and fight Laurel herself. But there's a problem. Laurel's skin, hardened by years of Bowline use, is practically indestructible, and she can't feel pain. Despite this, Catwoman holds her own, slowly wearing her down. The fight comes to a dramatic end when Laurel sees her own reflection and realizes her skin is deteriorating. In her horror, she loses her footing and falls out the window to her death. After everything, Catwoman's actions make headlines, and Hedera Corporation shuts down. Though she cares for Tom, she ultimately decides to walk away from their relationship, embracing her new life on her own terms. Free, untamed, and completely in control. If you like this video, don't be shy. Smash that like button. And if you didn't, well, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. Do yourself a favor and watch the whole movie. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome recaps.